Volume 2, Hadith 748. Narrated Abu Huraira, Allah's Apostle, peace be upon him, saw a man driving his badana, sacrificial camel. He said, "Ride on it." The man said, "It is a badana." The Prophet said, "Ride on it." The man said, "It is a badana." The Prophet said, "Ride on it." And on the second or the third time, the Prophet, added, "Woe to you." And it's important that when you hear authentically that the Prophet of the time and place has indicated that something is allowed, that it becomes an obligation of faith to take it as allowed, regardless of what the people may say. And as we've learned from Surah 2, ayat 106, that some of the previous things have been abrogated. The teachings for previous nations before this international age. Chapter 24 of book 26 here would be referring to something in volume 2, right? And one of the things that we need to remember is the superiority of the original layout of the Kaaba. And one of the things that happened after Muhammad was that there was an attack, and then another attack, and they could have rebuilt it according to the original foundations. Now, they can still tell where the original foundations were, both from physical and oral evidence, but they still don't build them to the original specifications. But the demolishing them to rebuild them in that foundation, it's best not to do that. But whenever, there's been the damage to do the rebuilding, chapter 25, reminds us that the inheritance should be for fellow people who are considered to be Muslim. And there's some conclusion that's not drawn especially from that chapter. So chapter 26 reminds us of how some tribes would come up with this stuff where they wouldn't marry in between them or do any business. And one of these was between Bani Hashim and Bani Muttalib, were excluded by the Bani Kinana because they wouldn't hand over Prophet Muhammad. And chapter 27 talks about the demolishing of the Kaaba by the too thin-legged one that was an Abyssinian. And that happened. And there was the Karamite destruction of the Kaaba where they took the stone. And the stone wasn't there for years.